2 videos a week until the end of December. And these videos are to promote thought, question some of the common stereotypes or cultural or societal thoughts or approaches, but also to give you something of value. As you've been watching these videos for the last few months, or those that have been following these videos for the past few months, that's what I've been trying to do, is provide value and some content that you could use to help within your own personal life or within relationships, friendships, what have you. And so, without further ado, we'll get into this episode. And I saw a quote. My friend got me onto Lewis Howes, which he's a motivational speaker that puts out unbelievable content. So if you have a chance to go over to check out Lewis Howes' podcast, I believe it's called The School of Greatness. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that. Please, please, please go and watch his videos, because they've inspired me to do some of the things that I'm doing within my own life, but they've also educated me in ways that sometimes books don't always do. Books are fun. I like to read, but sometimes it gets old, and nothing's better than turning off the music in a car and throwing in a podcast. Education is key nowadays. If you're not educated, it's very, very hard. It's very, very difficult to make it in this life. And on top of that, people don't like uneducated people, for the most part. I like to be around educated people, people that promote thought, provoke ideas, and then also challenge my ideas. So, I saw a quote, and I'll read it to you. It's by Lewis Howes, and he says, "So many years of schooling and getting degrees, but none of this has taught us how to love ourselves and why that's so important." So I'll read that again. So many years of schooling and getting degrees, but none of that taught us how to love ourselves and why that's so important. So that quote, I read it and I was like, woo! That's on point. Just think about it this way. How many of us have gone through life, or have been in relationships, or have been mistreated at potentially our jobs, and we allow it? I'm sure many of you have gone through situations where you allow things that you're not okay with. In that quote there, yeah, many of us may be educated. Many of us may have the degrees. Many of us may have X, Y, and Z behind our name. Many of us have multiple zeros in our bank account. But there are a lot of people that aren't happy. There are a lot of people that don't love themselves. And so what do people do when they don't love themselves? They seek other people to fill voids, because they potentially didn't get that, or they are lacking in various areas within their own personal lives to where they're not happy. Now, I always say this before anybody gets on here and says, well, what am I talking about? This is something I went through. I used to try to find other people to fill voids within my own life. And it's one of those things where you continue chasing, but it's always a dead end. There's nothing there that gets you over the wall. Why? Because you can't go out and look for other people to fulfill or satisfy voids within your own life. That's something that comes within. And it took me a long time to realize that. You have got to love yourself for who you are, for all the insecurities, for all the possible qualities that other people may not like you for. You've got to embrace that for your own self. And why did I go through that? Growing up, when I was an athlete, that's how I identified myself. I only identified myself as an athlete. And so when I got out of high school, I didn't know who I was. So I tried to find other people, whether it be friends, whether it be significant others, to fill the void, because I didn't know who I was as a person. And then it clicked. it clicked on me, and I looked out and I was like, man, some of the friends that I have, they're not adding value to my life. Some of the relationships that I've got in, they were typically the same relationships that I didn't like. And I'd made a change. I made a change that I wasn't going to depend on somebody to bring me happiness. I wasn't going to depend on somebody to fill a void within my own life. There's a lot of happiness, but there's also a lot of pain when you go through that. And the thing is, many people don't like to go through the pain. Instead, they try to dust the pain under the rug and try to find somebody to band-aid that pain. And you know what happens to a band-aid? Eventually it comes off and that wound is open. So you've got to think about that. And I truly hope any of you that are watching this video, please think about that. Look at some of your past relationships. Look at some of the friends that you surround yourself with. Are they adding value? Are you adding value to their lives? But also, here's the key question. Do you have them around to fill voids within your own life? Because if you are, you will continue to go down this road of life unhappy, and you'll continue to go down this road of life without feeling complete. And to me, going through life not feeling complete, that's painful. And a lot of people do that. Why? Because they're scared to look at pain in the face and tackle it. Sometimes you have to go months and months, or maybe even years, without dating somebody to find yourself. Maybe you have to get rid of some friends to find yourself. Maybe you have to ask yourself some of the real questions of why you choose to do the things you do, or you choose to allow people to do the things that they do to you. You've got to look in the mirror and ask yourself these questions. Now, some people will do it, and they'll get close enough to the pain, and then they'll turn back to their old ways. There's some people that ask these questions, get halfway, and then turn back all the way back around after they put in all that work. But the people that ask themselves this question and go all the way to the end, they find the happiness. Have I found the happiness? I'm almost there. I'm almost there. But I hope I never get there, because I want to continue to evolve as a person. Am I happy? Yes. Do I want to figure it all out? No, because I think if we all figure it all out, there's nothing for us to work towards. Let me say that again. If we go through life thinking that we have figured it all out, there's nothing for us to work towards. I always want to be working towards something. Always. Because I think that's the best life. If you go through life thinking that you're going to work on yourself for 2 months and then you're good, don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself, because you'll never figure yourself out in 2 months. Trust me. These things that I'm saying I've gone through. And the hardest part was trying to find my own identity after being an athlete, which I think many athletes go through. I think that's why you see many athletes go bankrupt, or many athletes become alcoholics or drug addicts, because they never find their own identity. I've mentioned in prior videos, I don't like to be identified as an athlete anymore. So that's something you have to question yourself. You have to ask. You've got to be aware enough too. And it takes a strong person to be aware. A lot of people are unaware, and they go through life unaware, and they go through life unhappy, and they go through life incomplete. Some people get out of relationships and they've got the next one lined up. Why? Because they're looking to fill that void. Some people get rid of a friend and then now they got a best friend. It doesn't work like that. You don't meet your best friend, or you don't meet somebody in one day and then consider them your best friend. It doesn't work like that. My best friend, I've known him for, oh man, probably, I think it's going on 10 years now. And we've both seen each other evolved, whether it be from a relationship standpoint, a knowledge standpoint, and a personal standpoint. We've seen each other evolve. So, can you ask yourself, is your best friend somebody that you've seen evolve, somebody that continues to add value in your life, but also continues to support you? Your significant other, is that someone that you can lean on and say, man, this person continues to bring value to my life, but I don't necessarily need that person, but I want that person. Now, what I mean by that is some people get in relationships thinking that they need somebody because they don't have themselves. Let that marinate in your brain. But then on top of that, I'll finish off this message. It's very important to love yourself. People ask me, how am I so happy? I've accepted myself. I've got flaws. I've got great qualities. I've accepted them all. My flaws, do I try to work on them? Absolutely. Am I perfect? No. But I'm happy. For the most part. There's still some things within my life that I'm trying to work on. But we always need to be working on something. If you go through, I do not understand this. If you go through life not working on something about yourself, I feel bad for you. I really truly do, because I think as a human being, if you want what you think you deserve, and if you want something that you're going after, you have to develop yourself first before you get those things. You won't just be handed these things in a little bowl with a spoon and a little bit of warm milk. It doesn't happen like that. In order to get where you're going, in order to get what you want, you've got to work on yourself, because you won't be given those things until you are somebody that you love. Nobody else is going to do it for you. So I want you to think on that. I want you to think really hard. Do you need to change some things about yourself? Do you need to figure out some things about yourself? Do you need to love yourself? These should be questions that continually run through your head as you evolve into a better person. Because when you turn into a better person, you become a happier person. And when you become a happier person, more people want to be around you. And the more people that are around you, the more love and knowledge you can spread. That's what it's all about. Evolve. Love yourself. Stop looking for other people to love you. It's all within. And until you figure that out, you're just going to continue running into dead ends, like I did for a long time. So, I hope you got value out of this video. Please share this with somebody that you know of or you can think of that may need to hear this message. Like I always say, by no means am I trying to talk down to people. I'm trying to use my examples and my real life experiences to share the knowledge, to spread the knowledge. That's what I'm here for. I love spreading knowledge. I love helping people. So if you're offended by this message, that may be a key indicator that you need to start loving yourself. So make sure you subscribe to this video, to this page. Make sure you share it with somebody. But most importantly, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Make sure you tag me so I get it. It's December. These videos are going to start getting hot. And I'm going to start asking some real questions, because a lot of you out there need to be asked the real questions. I ask myself these questions. And I continue to ask myself these questions. So I hope you got value out of this video. Until next time, we'll talk soon.